These Dudes on Games, episode 5. All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the only video game podcast on the internet. As we said in episode number 1, These Dudes on Games, episode number 5. We're recording this a lot later than we expected. Well, I guess not a lot later, maybe a day or two. It is currently the 12th of April, 2012. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hamilton, and joining me, as always, Jeff Ward. Jeff, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. And yes, you know what? I believe there's one more gaming podcast on the internet now that we started. I think we kind of started this fad of video game podcasts, and people are starting to follow suit.
They're just copying us.
Yeah, they're really rough around the edges.
Unoriginal bastards is what they are.
It's brutal.
Cool. So how you been, man? It's been a week. We actually did a radio show together. How cool was that?
Yeah, it was really cool. For those who don't know, Lloyd co-hosted the bonus stage with me on Friday last week, and it was a lot of fun. So the difference between podcasting and the radio, how did you find it?
I was nervous, actually, which is weird because I'll talk in front of a room of 500 people when I do like public speaking and training and stuff, and it does not faze me. I don't get nervous. I get like adrenaline rush. And then I just go, boom, it's on, and we go. Podcasting it doesn't matter if we have 50 people in our live stream room. It doesn't bother me at all. But I was sitting there and I was like super nervous before we got started. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but that's kind of my first part of the experience, was just sitting there like nervous, like, oh my God, what the heck's going to happen here?
Yeah,
I guess
it might have had something to do with the fact that you weren't in control for a change. Like I was the one running the board, the volume, the levels on the microphone. You just had to kind of sit there and talk.
That could definitely be it. It was kind of weird because I'm used to. I've been doing this for a long time. I've done a lot of shows, and I'm always the captain of the ship. So not that I'm a control freak or anything, but I kind of take the show and I kind of move from one story to another and kind of keep things flowing and keep topics longer if they have to be, shorten them down if they don't have to be. And I'm sitting there and I wanted to jump in a bunch of times, but I'm like, no, you're not the host. You got to sit there and bite your tongue and wait till Jeff looks at you so that you can then give your 2 cents. So that took a little bit of getting used to as well, but it was fun, man. That was so much fun, and it was great to see locals were listening to it. The next time it happens, if it happens in a couple months or whatever, we'll have to basically let you guys know on the show what time it's going to be and where you can go online to stream it, because I believe the website was actually working, and my wife actually listened to a little bit of the streaming audio as well. So
that's fantastic.
So we can put it up there for everybody else to listen to if they want.
I do know that for any Manitobans here in the audience this evening, if you have MTS TV, they put on all of the radio stations on their digital channels. So if you have MTS TV, you can also listen to the bonus stage on there too. But I have no idea what channel number it is.
Like 70,000 or something.
Yeah, it's probably some like
crazy
weird
number.
Like 283 or something like that. It's probably up there. No one's ever going to find it.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess that's the only announcement, is that I was on the radio. I'm not just a video star, and I'm not going to kill the video and radio, or however that song went. I can't even remember right now. So that's about it for the announcement section of the show. Why don't we get into what we've been playing? Jeff, I know you've been a busy man this week, busier than normal. So
yes.
What have you found time to play? Well,
because of I started a new job this week, so I've been working, which is this kind of new concept for me. Or full time anyway. I've been doing freelance before that, but I played games this week that didn't take a lot of time to play. So the biggest thing I played was Modern Warfare 3, which is kind of, any Call of Duty is essentially a stalwart game for me. It's not very far from my Xbox if it's not already inside of it. And this week, 2 new maps came out for Modern Warfare 3. If you are an Elite Premium subscriber on the Xbox 360, the maps were Sanctuary, and the other one was... Oh my God, I can't remember, but it looks a lot like Radiation from Black Ops, if anyone out there is familiar with Call of Duty in that sense. 2 really fun maps. What's really kind of interesting on Sanctuary is that it's this kind of Asian style... pagoda type of like monk village type of thing that's like on the side of a mountain, and they have this monastery, and on the back side of it there's a cemetery. And if you crouch down on three areas in this cemetery, you can hear these ghosts talking. And the thing is, like, it's kind of cool because if you're playing Call of Duty multiplayer, there's no way you would ever hear this because you're throwing grenades, you're, using automatic weapons, it's super loud. There's no way you would ever hear it, but for whatever reason, Infinity Ward went and put these voices in it, and I don't know why, and it's just really cool. For some reason, like, that extra bit of detail where there needs to be none is kind of impressive to me, and I'm wondering if there's a reason for it, even though there probably isn't, but because Call of Duty is very one-dimensional. I just thought it was a really, really cool thing that they put in, and I didn't find it out on my own. I actually saw a YouTube video of it today, and then went in-game and figured it out, and I was like, this is really kind of creepy.
That is really weird. Maybe it's some sort of hidden thing where if you, because I've seen a lot of I guess Easter eggs in first-person shooters where if you do this thing here and you walk over here and do this thing and you walk over and do this thing, something cool happens. Like the which game was it where there was ash people, where if you did all this stuff, they were all the guys in the house were like frozen as ash because a nuclear bomb went off or whatever, and you touch them and they would just disintegrate. There's something like that. So maybe it's to do with that, something, some Easter egg or something.
In Call of Duty, for the Modern Warfare ones anyway, their big Easter egg is that there's always a giant stuffed teddy bear somewhere with two golden desert eagles.
Right.
And it's in every, or in most of the multiplayer maps, and a lot of time you'll have to kind of clip out of the map to find it, but they're there. But I've never heard of anything like this before, so it's a little creepy, but it's just kind of cool that it's in there. If you have Elite Premium, those two maps came out on Tuesday, so if you haven't been playing in a while, you can go and download them for free. I've never been a big fan of paying for maps, but this year I've noticed that I'm getting a lot more value out of the game just because I've got new maps to play on, which is something I never thought I would say. Right.
No, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah. So and then the second thing I've been playing is a demo, and I can't wait for this game to come out. It's called Sniper Elite V2. I'm playing it on the Xbox 360. It's also on the PS3 and the PC.
Right.
Comes out early May, so about a month from now. And it is a sequel to a game that was released in 2006 called Sniper Elite. And it's this World War II game where you play the role of a sniper, obviously.
Right.
And you go around and you have to compensate for wind and bullet drop, and when you get a sniper shot, this amazing bullet cam thing comes, and it just like this slow motion camera rotates around the bullet,
right,
and then it shoots the guy in the head, and it goes into this X-ray mode, and you can see like fragments of his skull blowing apart, and like his brain gets popped, and like if it goes through the eyeball, it like blows the eyeball apart. It is fantastic.
So family friendly.
Oh yes.
Bright colors and rainbows and talking horses is essentially what it is. This is My Little Pony on the Xbox 360.
Well, you see, the thing is, we're shooting Nazis, so they're less than human, so it's totally family friendly. And there's this. I don't even know why they put this in the game, but I'm so thankful that they did. But if you shoot a Nazi in the nuts, it goes into an X-ray mode and it shows the testicles blowing up when the bullet goes through them.
Wow.
And that is a piece of detail that has been so sorely needed in the gaming community.
I've always wanted a game like that. So
exactly.
I mean, there it is, Sniper Elite version 2 or V2. Yeah. I gotta pick that one up.
I'm super pumped for this game. I've been just playing the demo nonstop, and I rarely play demos more than once, but this is one where I'm like, I just want to go in and get slow motion sniper shots. I don't even care about the story on this one. It's about the end of World War II and how Germany kind of gave way to the V2 rocket system that the Russians used in the Cold War. There's all this kind of like scientist stuff. I don't give a crap. I just want to shoot Nazis in slow motion with awesome bullet physics. That's all I care about. And this game delivers.
Well, that's good. Well, there you go. Yeah. That's your perfect game right there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into a little bit about what I've been playing. This has been a busy week for me. My son Nick just turned 6, which is unbelievable. If you guys have been listening to my podcasts for 6 years, you probably remember when I had him and I paused some of the shows for a couple weeks and did all this stuff. And it's just like unbelievable. Like I'm thinking back through all the stuff that has happened in the last 6 years, and it's just like, crap, he's like 1/3 of the way to 18, so he's going to be going to the bar and driving a car, and it's just like blows me away. I feel old just the fact that he's 6. But because of that, we've been doing a lot of fun things. So he's been playing a lot of video games. We've been playing both my kids. I have a 6-year-old now and a 4-year-old, and they both have their own DSs, and they've been playing Super Mario. So I've been helping them with that if they ever get stuck on a level. So I sit between them, and basically one's handing me the DS, and then I play a level and hand it back, and then the other one, oh, okay, I'll take that. I'll beat that level and give it back. So we've been doing a lot of that, which has been a lot of fun. But another thing is we're huge fans of Skylanders, and I've talked about it a couple times on this show and other shows that I've done. And we spent a whole bunch of money, and we picked up a bunch of characters. So we've just been playing Skylanders, playing with all the new characters. We got Cinder, we got Stump Smash, we got a couple other new ones. And that game, I mean, I'm so addicted to it, which doesn't make sense at all because it's not the best game ever. I mean, it's a fun platformer, but it's getting the characters and leveling them up and then activating them for multiplayer mode and stuff like that. It is so much fun. Like I'm looking over at my characters that are still in my room. I moved them out of my basement area because we have some kids coming over and they're going to destroy them. It's going to be nasty mayhem. But I think I've like 20 some odd characters, 26 characters, and I'm thinking back, it's like, okay, I've probably spent an extra $200 on this game beyond what I paid for the actual game itself. And it's like the best marketing that has ever been done on a video game. Put out these collectible figures that people are going to want, and they'll keep buying it. And I still need about a dozen characters to get all the ones of the base set. There's like variations and special editions and elite and all these legendary ones or whatever. I'm not worried about that, but my kids want to have all the characters so that they have a huge selection for multiplayer. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? It's probably going to happen because we bought a character today. We were just walking through Toys R Us, spending some birthday money with my son. He found Stump Smash. We picked them up today. I am going to own all these Skylanders characters, and I don't know how that makes me feel, to tell you the truth.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. If you had to actually kind of like stop and think that you've spent an extra $200 after the fact of buying the game, then it must be a pretty damn good game if you had to stop and realize that you'd spent that much money. If it wasn't that good of a game, it probably would have been a pretty big inner battle for you to buy this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it for sure. Like I don't mind spending the money because my kids love it, and I'll throw money at it. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, kids games are usually around $50 on the console. Like you can get like Toy Story, Toys R Us. That's weird. Cars 2, all these other ones. You can get them for around $50. So that's like 4 other PlayStation 3 games I could have been buying for my kids. But all they want to do is play battle mode, and it brings me back to when I was a kid or younger, I guess, not so much a kid. And Mario Kart was out, and sitting down with my buddies and playing Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo for hours and hours and days and days and weeks and weeks and months and months. It brings me back to that type of stuff. Like the kids they just want to keep playing it. It just blows me away. Like this, I'm looking forward to the Giants game that's going to be coming out this fall. New characters. I'm a big Skylanders fan, and I didn't think I'd like the game when I first bought it. I bought it because my son really wanted it, and it turns out that I'm a huge fan right now, which I don't know. It's kind of sad. It's a casual game. Why am I playing this stuff? I should be playing a real game, but I'm playing Skylanders.
Here's another thing, though. I mean, like you're a father, right? You've got 2 kids. You are now playing a game that everybody loves. It's like a family thing. If you had bought, 3 PS3 games, would you have been able to do that as much?
It depends on the games, I guess. Like we played Toy Story 3 like crazy. We've played a lot of the Lego games, but yeah, I mean, who knows? We play together. We play co-op. I'll beat a level. They'll beat a level. Like I don't know. It's just so much fun. So anyway, I wanted to talk about Skylanders again because again, I'm hopelessly addicted to it, and I don't know why. It scratches my collector's itch. Like I collect hockey cards still, which is kind of sad to admit, but I collect that stuff because I have a few favorite players and I want to have all their stuff. I used to collect figures. I used to collect Transformers, G.I. Joes, like all this stuff. I'm a collector. Good thing I'm not a hoarder because my wife would kill me if I was a hoarder. So I collect stuff until I don't collect it anymore, and then I get rid of it and sell it on like eBay or Kijiji or whatever. And that'll probably be the same thing with Skylanders. I will be selling them in a few years.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they might expand the game and just make it even harder to put down.
Well, that's what Giants is supposed to be. It's a new game disc with new characters. There's these giant characters that are double the size of the normal Skylanders characters, and you could use all your old Skylanders in this new game as well. So
Oh, that's cool.
my kids have their favorite characters that they go to all the time, so I'm sure they'll bring them into the new game.
Cool.
All right, moving on with a couple other games that I've been playing. Burnout Crash, which I love on the consoles. It was on Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation 3 as a downloadable title for about $15. It recently just made its iOS debut. It was supposed to come out last fall, and for some reason it didn't. I don't know if there was development issues or they wanted to retool it, but it came out last night, and it's $5, and it's awesome. If you've never played Burnout Crash before, it's a spin-off of the Burnout games, which is, the driving game with a lot of destruction and...
Love Burnout.
I played that game so much. All of them, actually, so much. But
Yeah, me too.
The Crash one is kind of a top-down arcadey sort of mini-game thing where you basically drive into an intersection and you have to crash the cars that are there. And every few seconds you get an overload charge that if you touch your car, you explode. And you use that to damage more cars and destroy the different objects around the world. And then there's different game modes. There's the main one where you're just trying to get as much damage as possible in 90 seconds. They have one where you can't let the cars escape, because if the cars escape, your end destruction, like this tornado comes and wrecks the city, but it gets less powerful the more cars that escape. And if 5 escape, the game's over. There's a bunch of stuff in it. Most of that has made its way over to the iOS version. They changed it a little bit. There's only 3 game modes for each level instead of 5, I believe, in the console version. A lot of the voiceover isn't there. For some reason, they took out the tutorial, which for me is not a big deal because I know how to play the game. But if someone's just coming into this game, it's just like, what do you do? Like, it's not explained to you. So a lot of stuff is kind of wonky. It uses EA's Origin system, and it also has Game Center, but it's not working. So every time you start the game, it pops up an error message saying this game is not recognized by the Game Center servers, which is like, really, that you included that in your actual release version? So I'm sure that'll be patched right away. But it just seems
that
like
must hurt you because you love your Game Center.
I'm an achievement whore on Game Center, so yes, it does hurt me a little bit. But it's kind of weird that it was released like that with so many like glaring bugs. But at the end of the day, it's Burnout. You're blowing stuff up. It still has a lot of the really crazy sound effects, like when the different cars drive on, like the pizza car, and they have all like 80s or 90s music kind of little clips that they play. It still has a stupid Burnout announcer, which is horrible, but I love it because it's the Burnout announcer. It's just a really fun game, and for $5, I mean, guaranteed you're going to get your money's worth if you play this for more than an hour or so, because once you play for that long, you've unlocked a certain number of cars. You know that you need this many stars to unlock the car that you really want, and you're just going to be addicted going back in. It uses the auto log feature of the actual console versions as well. So once you start adding friends that also have the game, you get ranked against your friends on a per level basis. So for each for each intersection and all that other stuff, you'll know that you're better than this guy, or your friend has scored 1 million more points than you. So you have to go back and compete with them. It's going to add a lot of replayability to it because you're going to want to basically get to the top of the leaderboards for your particular game. At least that's how I was on the PlayStation 3. If someone was ahead of me, I would keep playing it over and over and over until I beat him, and then I would go on to the next level. So I've been playing that a lot, which is really fun. For $5, and also picked up a game called Devil Dark: The Fallen Kingdom again yesterday. So I've only had about a day or so to play it, so not as long as I would have liked. But basically, what this game is, it's a buck. It's by Trinity Interactive Limited. So they've made a lot of games on iOS, and basically this is a top-down hack and slash beat 'em up, kind of like a Diablo or a Torchlight, something like that. So there's a lot of enemies. There's missions. So you'll get a mission to go kill 10 boars, and you have to go to the jungle or the forest or wherever the boars are, kill them, and then you get money for doing it. Use that money to buy better loot, or better equipment rather. You can buy potions and things like that. There's dozens and dozens of quests. There's a whole bunch of different enemies. There's a skill tree system, and it's only $1. I've been playing it I played it for about an hour and a half maybe, and I'm loving it so far. But I know there's an in-game currency called crystals, or I think they're called T crystals because it's from Trinity Interactive.
Clever.
So I can see that some of the equipment is actually going to require crystals, but it seems like you don't come to a point where you can only buy stuff with crystals, so you don't have to pay money, but it's like kind of stopgap. So in the store, there might be weapons for level 1 and level 5, but if you want a level 3 weapon, you have to buy it with the in-game currency or the in-game in-app purchase currency. And the same, like between 5 and 10, there's that's the ones that you pay with the in-game gold. But if you want to get like a level 7 weapon, you have to use the gems to do that. So it doesn't seem to be too bad, but I don't know, maybe it's going to get worse once things slow down, like when the leveling is really slow. Maybe you're going to be forced really to spend money. And if that happens, I'm going to start to lose my love of the game.
It's tough when you buy a game that like is 99 cents and then for whatever reason they have in the game all these cool things that you can't, or it's insanely difficult to get without spending real money. I don't like it when they do that. I mean, make them hard to get, and then if you want to, you can go and buy them with real money, but don't make them nearly impossible. Exactly.
Like I don't mind in-game currency. Like I've supported, like there's a lot of games that I play where every month or so I'll drop some money on in-game currency just to reward the developers because I'm still playing their game. There's a game that just came out. I can't remember the name of it, which it's not I guess a really good thing for the developers to hear, that I don't remember the name of the game, but what is it called? It's called Big Win Hockey. So it's a hockey simulation where you basically buy packs of cards in the game. They give you characters, they give you moves and things like that. You put together a team with all these cards, you add special abilities before each match, and then it will simulate the different hockey matches. You can watch them, and it's like watching like Blades of Steel back from the NES era, like these little tiny pixelated guys skating around. A lot of fun. To get some of the really good players, you have to buy the expensive packs that take in-game currency. So I don't mind every once in a while throwing a couple dollars that way because it improves my gameplay and then it keeps them updating. But when you get a game like, especially like a console game where you're spending $60 and they want you to start in-app purchasing stuff, that's when I kind of draw the line, and I absolutely refuse to pay money for that type of stuff.
Yeah, you know, if you're going to have in-app purchases or in-game purchases, you better subsidize the price of the game. Yeah. You know, like bring that game down $10 or $15 or even $20. Yep. And then I might spend a couple more dollars just to kind of keep myself playing. But, you know, the thing is, there are very few people like me and more people who are just going to buy whatever, whenever, however.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just blow their weekly paycheck or their allowance or whatever, however they buy their points on their favorite game, and
those are the people that get listened to.
Yeah, and those are also the people that are always at the top of the leaderboards because they're cheating their way to get to the top of the leaderboards.
Yep.
All right, well that's about it for what we've been playing. Let's get into the meat of the show. Jeff, you wanted to tell us a little bit about Resident Evil. It's going to be a super affordable game that anybody can go to the store and pick up with their pocket change, right?
Yeah, so Resident Evil 6 is, there was a lot of news about it this week. A new trailer was released, looks really, really cool, and they also made the release date a little bit earlier. Instead of November, it's going to come out of October this year, which is really cool, so maybe like a Halloween type of release. But they're going to have a collector's edition. And now most games do have a collector's edition. A lot of publishers will put out a collector's edition that is a for the fans type of thing. They don't really make any more money off of it, but it'll come with like a little figurine or, you know, a
night vision goggles.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, like with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I think had the night vision goggles, and then Black Ops had like a remote control RC car
with a camera on it, which was so awesome.
Yeah, like really, really cool stuff. And for Resident Evil 5, you got this tiny little figurine of Chris Redfield. I got a BSAA iron-on patch. I got a Tricell backpack, and you know, a die-cast metal case. All cool. It was $100 or whatever. I feel like I kind of got ripped off after a while. But Resident Evil 6 also has a collector's edition. It's called the Premium Edition.
Oh, sounds good. Premium. Yeah, I want a premium game.
You're already hooked, right?
Yeah.
So they are going to. I'll tell you what it has in it first. It's got you're going to get a copy of the game, obviously, with 4 different Resident Evil 6 branded tablet covers: Chris, Leon, Jake, and a secret version. And I'm not quite sure what a tablet cover is. I'm assuming it's a cover to the game case that you can like pop on and pop off,
Right.
but they don't tell you specifically. And you also get a replica of Leon's leather jacket, like one you can actually wear. And it comes in small, large, or extra large, medium, or whatever. And it's going to cost $1,293 American.
Wow, that's
Holy crap!
That's a lot of money.
That's a huge amount of money. This is easily, and as far as I can tell, the most expensive collector's edition in video game history.
That's kind of crazy. I'm going to show a picture of it from the Kotaku website, and it you can see the leather jacket right there. The leather jacket looks nice, and you can see the tablet covers, which are these gray things with words on it. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's a really poor drawing, isn't it, or poor representation?
But $1,000, like what the heck are they thinking?
Well, okay, so the game is $60 regardless, right? You're probably going to spend an extra $25 on a metal case, and I would assume you're going to spend about $5 a pop for each of the tablet covers.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? You're looking at 85, 90, 100, $105 for the game and that. And then you're looking at a $1,000 leather jacket, which, yeah, leather jackets are expensive, but who the hell cares? I don't know if anyone buys this. You're an idiot. I'm sorry, but you are just an idiot.
The one thing I gotta ask, like, if you're GameStop or Best Buy, are you going to stock like a small version of this, a medium, a large, and an extra large, and a double XL and a quad XL? Like, are there going to be different versions of this, or is it going to be like, this is his jacket if you can fit it? If you're like a skinny, smaller type dude, you can fit into this. If you're not, it's going to look nice on your wall. Like, it just seems like a really weird pack in.
Actually, you can only get it off of their site, Capcom, and you get free shipping, which is really nice of them.
Bonus. Well, I'm going to order 3.
Get me free shipping for $1,300 for this game, but and then you get to pick your size and hope to God. Like the trouble of buying clothes on the internet, you better hope to God that they get it right, because if not, you're going to be in for a long. You got to send it back and get a new one and all that. So it's a real pain, but I've never heard of anything like this in my life, and it's just shocking to me. Like, I keep looking at this, I'm like, 105,000 yen, or 1,293 American dollars.
Yeah, that's multiple house payments or car payments, or you could buy a new television. Like, that's a lot of money for a leather jacket. I'm sure you could go to an actual custom clothing shop, and they could actually custom build you your own leather jacket that looks just like that one for less than $1,000. Yeah,
and the thing is, like, you get the game, 4 tablet covers, and a jacket. And I've gotten more in, I mean, granted, it's not like it was really cool stuff, but I've gotten more items in a regular collector's edition for $100.
Yeah.
You want a good value for collector's edition? Buy anything that's done by Blizzard.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys do them right. You get this massive coffee table art book, you get soundtracks, you get these beautifully constructed boxes and all this kind of cool stuff. And it's usually way worth the money. And this is ridiculous. This is like, it's like a slap in the face, really. It's like saying, we don't understand customer needs at all. Buy this collector's edition for $1,400.
It just seems like what they should have done is sell the collector's edition that has all the tablet covers or whatever for $100, and then have a sheet in there that's saying, if you want your very own replica leather jacket, head on to this website and buy it. Just releasing this as an actual bundle just makes people lol online, and it's going to be troll bait. Like, they're going to post pictures of this for different things online. I can see the images already in my brain, what people are going to do, and it's just going to make them kind of a laughing stock, kind of
crazy.
Yep.
Crazy Capcom.
Cool. Moving on. More crazy stuff. How would you like to shout "Fuss Roda" at your television and actually have it do something other than like spittle appear on your TV that you have to then clean with Windex? That is possible, or will be possible soon. There is a Kinect patch being done for the 360 version of Skyrim, so you can actually shout all sorts of things at your television, and it will do stuff like put a bucket on this guy's head. Well, actually, you probably couldn't shout that.
I don't think you can do that.
But you could shout other things while you put a bucket on a dude's head in the game to steal stuff out of his house, because that's what people do in Skyrim. This is going to be coming out basically right after the 1.5 update, which just came out. So they're really pushing this stuff forward. And if you remember, if you've read any articles back in the day, they had a kind of a dev weekend with all the developers and producers over there at Bethesda, where they actually basically said, make this game whatever you want it to be, like add stuff to it. So they had things like mountable dragons. They had the ability to fight from a horse. They had kill cams, which actually was just in the last patch. And another thing that they had was Connect support was added in. And of course they said, no, this isn't going to happen. It was just we just did it for fun. And then sure enough, a couple months later, it's coming out. There's 200 voice commands, and it makes me really regret that I'm playing this on my PlayStation 3, because I would love to start screaming stuff at my television and have it do stuff. Because
do you have a Kinect?
I do not. I would buy a Kinect to play this.
Here's my big gripe, and I'm really impressed at how well Bethesda has supported the game post-launch, fixing numerous bugs, and in a game this size, it's essentially impossible for them to not have bugs, and they've done a really good job of staying on top of things. And they're also kind of like tweaking and adding new things here and there. And I feel like we're getting ready for DLC really soon, so that's really cool. But Kinect voice commands are pretty cool, I guess. Like I would never use them, but every Xbox 360 sold comes with a headset. Yeah. Why the hell do I have to buy a $150 peripheral to shout at my TV when my Xbox comes with a headset? That's the dumbest thing, and Mass Effect does it as well. And it's not because they think it's cool, it's because they're pushing a peripheral that cannot sell on its own, and that is so frustrating to me.
Yeah, like I remember the original some of the original stuff that was said about the Kinect before it actually released, where it was going to have this crazy processor inside of it that was going to do like all of the figuring out where all the body parts are. It was going to do all the voice recognition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And they had to cut out a lot of that stuff when the actual release version shipped. From my understanding, all of the voice recognition is actually done from within your Xbox 360. So it doesn't make sense why maybe there's some sort of bandwidth issue when it's listening to stuff up through your headset. Like maybe it slows the game down because of the speed of the controller bus or something. But yeah, like why aren't they doing that? I guess there must be a limitation, but maybe
it's a good argument, but I highly doubt it. I mean, the Xbox 360 is a very powerful piece of hardware, and the controller, I mean, I can not only talk to people in game wirelessly with my controller and my headset, but we can chat in lobbies, we can chat in games. I can still hear all the sounds perfectly. To me, and I feel like I'm pretty close to the truth here, but it feels like it's entirely, we just want people to buy the Kinect, and then so we'll just put voice commands in Skyrim, and it would be cool. I don't think I would ever shout Fus Ro Da at my screen, because I think that's kind of silly, but there are a lot of people who would like to do that. And the Kinect is like this $150 piece of plastic that is kind of cool if you want to play Dance Central, and after that, there's really not a lot to play. Every once in a while, you'll see a favorable review of a Kinect game for download in the store, and you're like, favorable? What is this? So it's frustrating, and I think it would keep a lot of people from, it's going to make people buy it, which is unfortunate, because it's going to sit there and they're never going to use it again, which is a waste of money. So
yeah, exactly. And it must be something where when you as a developer add the Kinect SDK into your game, a bunch of stuff is just done for you. All the voice recognition stuff is just free essentially when you add this development SDK in. It must be something simple like that. So for this to get added in, the developers didn't actually have to add in their own program that would recognize this voice. It was done for them. They probably could make it work with headsets. It would just take a lot of development on their side, and since this is a free patch, maybe they don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple games that you could talk to the in-game characters through your headset, and I really kind of miss that stuff.
And I mean, if you've got a headset and the microphone's attached to it, isn't it kind of silly that you have to now talk to something that's, attached to the top of your screen? I mean, it seems so counterproductive to what they're trying to do originally. Mm-hmm. And, I still think the Kinect has some really good potential, but it's one of those peripherals like, the PS Go or PSP Go, where it was launched and it had very high hopes. And if they had stuck with it, it would be a really good product, but they're not. And it's just kind of a piece of crap.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So yeah, you can scream at your TV if you want, and people won't just think you're crazy. Well, they'll think you're crazy, but at least something will happen while you do it.
Yeah. All right, moving on next. For those who don't know, quite a while ago, Peter Molyneux had left Microsoft and Lionhead Studios to essentially produce indie games or go to an indie route. And he has now come out and said, speaking with Eurogamer earlier this week, and kind of explaining his position on why he chose to do that. And Peter Molyneux is kind of this watershed guy in gaming where you either really like him or you really hate him because he kind of lies to you all the time about how good Fable's going to be. So he has these really fantastic ideas all the time, but the way that he puts them together or gets his team to put them together, they don't always come to fruition like that. He's one of those guys that I really respect for his creative vision, because if he could get the stuff he has in his brain into a game the same way he sees it, we're looking at a guy who can produce the best video games of the year after year. Yeah. He's got a really fantastic brain like that. But he was talking with Eurogamer, and he said that the case was best put that a creative person can ever do is when there's a lot of risk and when there's a lot at stake. That's hard to do within a big corporation like Microsoft. Secondly, this is a quote from him, by the way. Secondly, the type of people I would need to exploit all this new stuff would be slightly different from the type of people who were at Lionhead. He's essentially saying that if he wants to do the best he can as a creative person, he's got to take a lot of risk, and he has got to put a lot at stake. And Microsoft isn't really about taking risks. They're about making money, which, I mean, is fair. They're a company. That's what they're there for, to make money. And if they're not making money, then their shareholders are angry and everybody else in the company's angry. I totally understand that. But he had to essentially step down and leave because he felt like his creative visions were being kind of hindered because of how Microsoft's corporate culture does.
Right.
And he finishes off here, this little quote, by saying, "So after a lot of talking, we agreed I would leave Microsoft and set up a new company. Of course, Microsoft was very keen to talk about a deal, but I didn't want to constrain any creative endeavors this new company would do with setting an early deal. That's what I did at Lionhead, and it really did end up constraining what you ended up doing." Essentially, what happens, same way it would happen if you wrote a book or if you made a movie. If you want to get producers on, they now have a say in it because they're staking their own money, right. And that hurts the overall kind of product in the end. And I really respect him for kind of, he's not making a lot of money now, which is like, I mean, that's tough to leave from. He was doing very well at Lionhead in Microsoft, very well. Yeah. The guy was set for life. It took a lot of balls to kind of say, you know what, my artistic integrity is worth more to me than this huge paycheck, and leave and start something new that is, it's very admirable at it, but it's significantly less money, and he's in now for a lot more work. But
right.
I'm excited to see what kind of comes from this and from him, because I know he's a very smart guy. He just needs to know when to kind of shut up and stop telling people what's going to be in the game. And then I always feel like when he's on stage at E3 and he's like, okay, and then we're going to do this in the game, there's probably some guy just off stage who's like, oh, crap. There's no way we can do that. Why did you say that? And now he's going to have this huge meeting with his developers and like, we can't deliver on any of what you said up there on stage. You idiot.
Yeah, it's he's definitely an interesting individual, and I'm sure he has more money than anybody, almost anybody out there. He's probably sitting on a big fat bank account, so he can go be crazy and do whatever crazy stuff he wants to do in his own development house. And if he wants to make a talking boy simulator like he showed off on Kinect, yep, go for it. That's crazy crazy dude making crazy games. That's great. But if he wants to make a game like Fable, like how Fable was supposed to be when he first talked about it, I didn't mind Fable. I really liked. I liked the first Fable. I liked the second Fable. Did not like Fable 3. So I think the studio itself was kind of on a downturn like that. But I really dug the first one, and I kind of like his vision for things. Like, let's simplify. Let's bring gaming back to gaming. People having fun, playing with toys, is essentially what his kind of development mentality is like. So I really respect and dig that, and hopefully this 22 Cans is going to do that. Maybe he can throw out whatever crazy games he wants, and if some of them work, some of them don't, maybe that's a good thing. He can get all the crazy out of his brain and work on something that's maybe really awesome.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever get all the crazy out of his brain, but I think he'll get some of it out. I also feel like he is kind of a guy who has this brain which is a lot like the developers who, do games like what we talked about last week with Journey and with Flower. These games that are really hard to consider as games, and then he's just in more the public eye. So it seems like he's just this crazy guy, standing up there on the top of a hill shouting, I want to make a game that does this and blah, blah. And, everybody's like, oh, that's such a weird idea. And then these other developers are like, I want to make a game where you play a bunch of flower petals, bringing back color to a world. And nobody says it in public. And all of a sudden this game just kind of sneaks out and everybody's like, this is brilliant,
Yeah.
I think he's a lot like that. And there's this fake Twitter account from a guy who calls himself Peter Molyneux, and he has this. He does this really good parody of who Peter Molyneux is, and he's got some really good ideas. There was one that I thought was just fantastic, and it was a game where your controller rumbles; it vibrates along with your character's heartbeat. And it just keeps doing it the whole game, and you essentially just kind of your hands build up this feeling where you don't even feel it anymore because it's happening so often, and then when your character dies, it just stops.
Right.
That is a fantastic idea because that would be such a jarring experience. I mean, you go through a bunch of the game where the controller is vibrating, and you're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden you die, which is already a pretty jarring experience anyway, but then your controller stops vibrating because your heart has stopped. That would be amazing.
That would be really cool, and it would be sponsored by Energizer because you need a lot of batteries for that.
Yeah, you would.
It was kind of funny. The Peter Molyneux guy actually had his own little game jam where they were trying to develop some of the games that he kind of invented from his Twitter account. And Peter Molyneux actually showed up at one of the events, which was pretty cool. So he seems like a really awesome guy. Like, I say he's crazy tongue in cheek. Like, he's crazy because he does stuff that no one else would do, and he tries to make games that are obviously not your standard run of the mill, point a gun at a guy, shoot the guy, run forward, point the gun at a guy, shoot a guy, those types of games, which are sort of like the mainstream games that publishers love. So I can understand it would be really hard for a developer or a publisher rather to have him as someone that they have to tell to do something different. He seems pretty stuck in his ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Moving on. Something interesting has been happening for the past few months. There was a bunch of little images that were shown up from Namco Bandai, and they look like little strands of DNA. Like you can see maybe like X chromosomes or something. But they were very pixelated and they were very colorful. So people were trying to figure it out, and they're able to say that, hey, this little strand looks kind of like Ryu, and this one looks like Ulala from Space Channel 5, and this one kind of looks like, I don't know, some other characters from different genres. And people are like, no way could this possibly be a game with multiple developers, multiple publishers or multiple companies working together. Well, it was announced like a day or so ago that there's actually a game coming out called Project Cross Zone. So it's Project X Zone, Project Cross Zone. It's going to be an RPG. It's a strategy RPG, and it's being brought to you by Sega, Capcom, and Namco Bandai, or Bandai Namco, whatever they're called nowadays. Kind of blows my brain a little bit. Basically, there's going to be pairs of characters for when you get into battles. They can be from any of the different like you could have Ken and Ryu, you could have Ken and Mega Man X, you could have Ken and Dante, you could have Ken and Ulala, or Jin from Tekken. There's going to be a whole bunch of crazy characters in this game, and it's an RPG. Like we've seen a lot of like Capcom cross games, so or Street Fighter versus or Capcom versus. That makes sense because it's fighting games. It's these characters from different worlds going together. Kind of like as a kid, you always wanted like Marvel versus DC. Like what would happen if Spider-Man took on Superman? Like what would happen? And then they had these games which are really awesome fighting games. But this is different. It's an RPG. And it makes me happy. It says the trailer is due later this month. I wouldn't be surprised if they push that to right before E3 or maybe at E3. But I am so looking forward to this. I'm going to post a link to the story that has some of the characters that will be in this actual game. There's like Chris and Jill from Resident Evil. There's Cosmos and T. Elos from Xenosaga. So a lot of like beloved characters from a lot of beloved franchises are all going to be existing in this world. It kind of makes me wish that like Smash Brothers Melee actually used a lot more characters than just like Solid Snake and Sonic. If there was some like really kick-ass characters from different games that I've played over the years, back into a fighting game would be really, really awesome. So anyway,
it's got to be really tough to get the licenses on a lot of these characters, though.
Can you imagine like how stressful those meetings must be? Where
it's like you know the producers of Who Framed Roger Rabbit with all these cartoon characters from Warner Brothers and Walt Disney all across the board.
Right.
The whole thing was like there's that scene where Eddie Valiant is falling from the sky and both Mickey Mouse and Bugs are falling at the same time.
Right.
They're on screen for the exact same amount of frames because no company, neither Warner Bros. Or Walt Disney was going to do the film if the other one had a frame more screen time. And you can time it out, and they're on the exact same screen for the same time. And there's that scene at the end where all of them are together. I'm like, you would never get that nowadays because of the licensing on all these characters. You'd have to pay $1 million to have Bugs Bunny in your movie for 2 seconds.
For 3 frames or 30 frames.
I mean, I can't imagine that it's more expensive with video game characters, but they have got to be really tight with those as well, too. So I'm going to assume it's very expensive. So just the fact that there's all these characters in the same spot is pretty impressive in itself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really looking forward to this. I like RPGs. All these characters from different games that I've played in the past working together reminds me of kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where you have this character that's interacting with a bunch of Disney characters that I know and love from watching the movies. So this makes me really excited. So we'll definitely talk more about this when more gets released. Hopefully there's some good gameplay trailers and stuff released at E3.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it just for what it's going to be. I mean, I don't think I'd ever pick it up, but I'm interested to the point where I'm going to pay attention to the news about it.
Exactly. Cool.
All right, moving on. In the game news that won't die section of the show, we've got more Mass Effect stuff to talk about. And this is in kind of regards to a lot of people who are mad about the ending of the game have filed Triple B, Better Business Bureau, complaints against BioWare for falsely advertising the game.
Right.
And this week, the Better Business Bureau came out and said, yes, Mass Effect 3 was falsely advertised. They actually agreed with these consumers, which is, a little disheartening that they're getting more attention to this. But we'll kind of let you know what's going on here. So essentially, this little statement here says that the issue at stake here is, did BioWare falsely advertise? Technically, yes, they did. In the first bullet point on the back of the game, where it states the decisions you make will completely shape your experience. There is no indecision in that statement. It is an absolute. And they are, unfortunately, on the point about that. There is a lot of stuff in the end. No spoilers, but it's really kind of hard to see your decisions carry forward to that last confrontation, which is a little unfortunate, but a lot of your decisions that you made in the previous 2 games have big effects on the whole of the beginning, from the beginning of Mass Effect 3 up until that last conflict at the end. So there's that big chunk where it happens there. And the Triple B agrees with these consumers, and they're saying that the lesson to be learned here is companies should give careful consideration to how they word their advertisements. Otherwise, there could be detrimental effects, especially in the era of social media and online forums. Now, luckily, BioWare isn't in any kind of trouble with the Better Business Bureau. They're saying that, we agree, but there's really nothing we can do because it's such a tough thing for them to kind of, charge. I don't even know what the Better Business Bureau does if there was like a legitimate complaint like this, but
they shake their fingers like, oh,
yeah, like
don't I'm gonna tell you, don't do that.
Exactly.
Okay, you did that. That's fine. If you can live with it, that's fine. That's kind of what they do.
Yeah, exactly. They agree, but there's nothing that's going to be done about it. So BioWare is fine, which is fine with me. And I think that it's, even though they're right technically, I really don't get the feeling that any of these guys at the Better Business Bureau have played this game. So it's really tough for them to kind of come in on any position. Yeah. It's not like, going to a restaurant and eating crappy food or buying a product and seeing that it's really, really crappy. Those are things that they can do. Nobody at the Better Business Bureau is going to invest 150 hours of their life to play through Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 to find out if they're actually right in these complaints. Mm-hmm. It's pretty difficult for them to kind of find that out, but they're not in trouble, but they do agree that, yes, Mass Effect 3 was falsely advertised, and I guess there is some credence in that as well.
Just drives me insane. Anyway.
Yes.
All right, moving on. I talk about Kickstarter a lot because I really think Kickstarter is kind of a cool thing that is fairly recent. Basically, we the people can fund whatever we want if it's something that we really want, but it doesn't. Maybe it's not as cut and dry of a product that would see a million orders from, say, the Apple Store or Best Buy. But there's enough people out there that would want it. A developer or producer or an engineer can make it, put it out there, and if enough people are interested, they give them the money, the product gets produced, and you go on with it. I funded the great Jot stylus, which is this really awesome stylus for the iPad that has a clear crystal disc that you can look through. And
it's really awesome.
Oh, and it has like a pen tip. So it's like you're actually writing with a pen because you can see where your actual thing is. I use it for drawing and doodling. It's really awesome. I funded a couple other products like Indie Game the Movie and some other stuff. I love Kickstarter. And now a lot of game developers are moving to it because of what happened with Double Fine when they raised, $70 billion or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's like 3.8 or something. I think it's 3.8 million.
Yeah, which is, insane. Insane.
Which is nuts. And there's been a couple other ones. I recently funded a remake of Shadowrun, or I guess another game from Shadowrun, which is a really awesome pen and paper RPG back when I used to do that a long time ago. It had a really great Genesis game, and they're coming out with a new version. Great. I'll throw them $20, $30, and there you go. I'll play the game when it comes out and get some nice little add-ons as well. So one came up this week, which had me kind of scratching my head a little bit, but also kind of, I guess, cautiously excited. It's a game called Republique with an accent on the E, and it's a game for your iOS platform. So it's either an iPhone or an iPad, essentially. And it's being brought to you by a game developer called Camouflage, which is new. And but the people that work there are not new. It's being headed up by Ryan Payton, who is basically a game designer. He worked on Metal Gear Solid. He was actually the person in charge of Metal Gear Solid 4 when Kojima basically took a step back and let kind of a Western developer work on the game to kind of change it a little bit to see if it would make it a bigger game in all over the world, not just in Japan. So he's been around. He went to 343 Studios and started working on Halo. He's done a lot of really great stuff, but he felt kind of hamstrung, I guess, similar to Peter Molyneux, where he wanted to do stuff, but he was tied down by big corporations. So he basically, in his Kickstarter video, he says he sold everything that he owns essentially to start this company, and he wants to make this game, and he wants people to help support him. So Republique by Camouflage is a really cool kind of a stealth game, which makes sense. The guy that worked on Metal Gear Solid 4 would be working on a stealth game. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
And it has a heroine as the main character. It's a girl called Hope, and she calls you on her cell phone. And if you're playing on a phone, apparently this really cool thing happens where your phone rings, you put it up to your ear, and she talks to you.
Oh, that's cool.
A couple other games have done that, but they're basically saying this is so cool. This has never been done before. But no, actually, a couple of games have done that. But
yeah.
But I'll give Ryan the benefit of the doubt. He's tired. He's works on a lot of games, and basically it's a stealth action game. So you play a girl, and they wanted this character to be beautiful, but more than just a pair of boobs, is what they said as well in their intro video. So it's like
you can do that in games.
I guess so.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
But essentially what happens is, I'm showing some of the screenshots and things, is she's talking to you through like a Bluetooth headset, and if she gets caught, she essentially dies. So she cannot get caught. So you're basically hiding, and it's a true stealth game, like even more than Metal Gear Solid, because if you get out, I don't believe there's any way to battle these guys. Maybe there's tasers and things. But as a guy that's hacking, you're a hacker, and you can hack into the different computer systems. So if you see a computer, you touch it, and you can hack into it to say turn off some cameras, or to activate a lock, or to set off an alarm, or to open a door, different things like that. There's a little bit of gameplay in the trailer that they released, and it looks really good. I'm really excited for it. But it's an iOS title, and the only thing I can think of is if you pledge $10 right here for the iOS title, they would be gifting you a copy of this game, I guess, when it releases. Unless they're because if they're not going to make it free, they're going to want to sell this game for $10. So I don't know how that's going to work yet.
I wonder how they do that, right? Because in most of the Kickstarter stuff, you'll get a physical copy of the game, but if it's iOS, how do they authorize your account to have a free download? I mean, I guess they could authorize your account to have a free download, but it seems like it's
promo codes. Maybe they're gonna basically create a whole bunch of promo codes. Maybe they have a deal with Apple, or maybe they're just gonna use the gift this app to a friend and send it to everybody that bought it, which is actually kind of a neat trick, because if you send a $10 game to somebody and you're the developer, you spend $10 out of your account, but you get $3 credited back to you because you get 30% back. So
nice.
So that would be kind of a good idea for them, is to do this. It would take a whole pile of time, but whatever. They have a goal of 500,000, and they've only gotten up 61,000, which is kind of surprising to me. Other developers, like I told you about that really cool Pebble watch. They raised like $1 million in a day. Like, it's stupid amount. They raised 200,000 in like 2 hours or something. Yeah. And sorry, I was corrected by the chat room. You spend $10 as a developer and you get $7 back. And,
oh wow!
And Apple keeps 3. So yeah, thanks Quacko. I had it in my brain and I said it wrong. So yeah, they're actually going to be making more money doing this, because they're and immediately the first day they're going to have like 5,000 sales or more, depending on how many people. Yeah, so they're going to
be at the top of the App Store just because of how many sales they're going to get.
Exactly.
It's a good marketing play. I mean, the thing is, like, I've never funded Kickstarter before, ever. And I don't think I would fund this game, but it would be something I would look into, when it comes out on the device. I just, there's this weird slant with Kickstarter, like, it's all about timing, and more so than it's ever been before, internet-wise. I mean, you have this fantastic platform where literally anyone can go on and make a plea to get money from strangers to do something you've always wanted to do. But if your timing is wrong, you are a nobody, and if your timing is right, you are a Coney 2012 or the Pebble Watch type of thing,
Yeah.
And you're just getting so much money. I don't understand how the timing works, and not that this game hasn't got any money. It's $65,000 is nothing to scoff at, but it is it's less than 1/5 of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So they still got a ways to go.
They got a long ways to go.
28 days left on the drive, so I mean there's still a lot of time to make up that ground. But also, what happens if they don't make their goal?
Nothing. Your money gets returned to, or your money, the authorization on your account just disappears. So
really, okay. So if they get $495,000 out of 500,000,
yeah,
they got nothing.
Exactly. They're no further along than they were before.
Well, I guess then there's essentially no risk, but that could, I would put my Kickstarter at like, yeah, let's go for 100 grand because I know I'm going to get that, and then
Yeah.
if we get more, then all the better.
Yeah, that's something that really kind of confused me a little bit, that they were asking for so much money, especially when Double Fine was only asking for 400,000 to begin with, and they're a known studio. They're not a studio made by known people that is
Yeah.
new. They've been around forever, and they've released some really great games. So yeah, it seems kind of odd to me. Their Kickstarter rewards, because if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, you basically pledge money, and the more you pledge, the more you get. So say for Indie Game the Movie, if you pledged $20, you got a copy of the digital version or whatever. If you spent $50, you got the extended edition DVD and a digital download. So they give you more for the money that you back. So $10 gets you the game, $25 gets you basically the digital edition plus a soundtrack and the documentary series. So they're going to document this similar to what Double Fine's doing. All the way up to like 50 gets you the Intelligentsia edition, which has a journal, which is basically a journal that's been designed specifically for Kickstarters. There's a $75 gets you a high quality iPhone case. And all the other stuff. There's a collector's edition that has a journal, a CD, DVD documentary, a whole bunch of other stuff for $100, and it just keeps going on. And for an iPhone or iPad game, it seems a little much. Although if you look on their page, like this is an image of what their book is, and it's actually bound by loose leather, and it looks like it's all hand drawn. There's like playing cards that's used as a bookmark in here that must basically come into play in the game or something. It looks really awesome. I don't know if I'm actually going to spend $50 or whatever it is to get that personally. Yeah. I'll pay $25 maybe to get the game plus the documentary series, because I love documentaries, so that would be something really cool to see. But anyway, good luck, Camouflage and developer Logan. I really hope your game gets funded, and I'll pony up cash for sure. I will do it.
You fund everything on Kickstarter, don't you?
I fund a lot of. If I'm at all excited about something and I would buy it anyway, I'll fund it, because then I feel like I'm part of something else, part of the greater good to make this stuff exist in the world somehow.
For sure.
I want to create my own Kickstarter, but you can't do it when you're Canadian, so that really bums me
Yeah,
out.
you have to have a U.S. office, don't you?
Yeah, so that kind of bums me.
The Indiegogo though that's international.
Yeah, I might have to check out that, because I'd like to do like a Kickstarter for this podcast, which would be kind of cool. Raise some funds to get better equipment for me and all the hosts. And do some other stuff.
I may pitch in. I don't know.
Me too. I might fund that one for some reason.
It seems like a good idea. We'll have to see if the funds are there.
Exactly. Cool. All right. So that's it for Republique. Good luck. I really want to play this game, so I hope it gets funded, but it's slowing down. 60K in like 5 days is pretty slow as far as like big Kickstarters go, and they're asking for a lot of money.
That sounds greedy when we say it, right? Like, oh, $65,000 in 5 days. That's so slow.
They're so slow. People are lazy and they're not spending their money. Only $65,000 have been spent. But yeah, that's a lot of cash.
Love to make $65,000 this week.
In 4 days, yes. Sign me up, please.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on to the last big story of the day. This one is kind of weird, and I heard about this a while ago because I heard of the class action lawsuit. But essentially, GameStops in California now have to put DLC warning stickers on used games, and that comes from a kind of this backlash of games like Batman Arkham City and Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, where it advertises on the game as free DLC.
Right.
But that's only DLC available to customers who buy new copies of the game. So when they have this box up on the used section, the sticker isn't actually like a sticker that's on the package. It's actually it's printed right onto the cover of the game. So they have to put these warning stickers on that says you're going to have to buy an access code online if you want to get this DLC. It's not free unless you buy the game brand new. So there was this class action lawsuit that was put forth in California, and it actually went through, and they have won. What was happening is that all these people are alleging that GameStop was misleading customers and attempting to maximize profits by buying used games at a fraction of their costs and jacking up the prices without paying royalties to video game publishers or developers. which is exactly what they do. But that's what any used anything does.
Oh yeah,
Unless you're
exactly.
looking at like a flea market or something. But they're saying that they're kind of pulling a fast one on people by not telling them up front. Now, I can only speak to the GameStops that I've been here in Winnipeg, but I've never felt like I've got screwed by them. You know, I felt like they've always done their due diligence to make sure that I know what I'm getting into before I get into it. Anytime you go in there and buy a PC game, they always make you look at the requirements because you can't take those games back. So they've always been really good about that. I maybe they're different in the States, but again, I don't think this is a bad idea. I think it is kind of nice that people now have this visual aid. So like, oh, I'm gonna have to. This DLC isn't free unless I get the game new. It's really not worth it for me. So, excuse me. It's nice to see, but it feels kind of weird. Like GameStop was being attacked, and it sounds weird for me to say that because GameStop's this huge entity that always seems like it's
Poor GameStop. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Let's feel bad for them.
But it does kind of seem like they were being unjustly attacked here, and people just reading essentially. But if they were intentionally not telling people, then that's totally unfair. And then this is going to fix that. But it's only going to be for the next 2 years that they're going to be forced to put up signs, both online and in retail stores. So regardless of where you buy your games, as long as you get them at GameStop, you'll know what you're in for.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I'm disgusted in developers that have that $10 DLC to play online. Like, it just seems like, really, you sold the game. It's not like you didn't sell, or you would have sold one more without this DLC. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's a set pool of people that are playing your game. One person jumps out of the pool, another person jumps in, but that pool hasn't grown at all. So I don't see this. Like, they're saying like server costs are crazy because of people that are playing this game. It's like, well, the same amount of people are playing the game that would have bought it anyway. But it does make sense that game sellers like GameStop are forced to put the sticker on, because if a game comes out for $60 and you buy it used, they knock $5 off, but then you get home and you realize that you have to spend $10 on this DLC. That would just be a piss off. But I've always been told by GameStop when that happens. So maybe Winnipeg just has some really good GameStops. That could be the reason. But anyway,
we're just really nice people up here in the Canada.
Yeah, we say hey, how's it going, buddy? So yeah, hopefully that's going to keep happening, because I'd hate to see people get screwed out of an extra $5 just for trying to save $5 buying a used game.
And like, especially you get down to people who, a lot of them buy used games because they can't afford them new. I mean, let's be honest, games aren't cheap. There's been quite a few times when I've not been able to afford a brand new game.
Right.
And a used game at $40 or $50 is like, I can justify spending that. I'm going to save some money, and it's not going to be this huge.
I think we lost him. Skype's not playing nice with us. Okay, I'll continue what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, games are expensive, and we don't like to spend more than we have to. I'll get off that really creepy stuck camera of Jeff. We don't like to spend more, but I mean, if developers really want to get rid of used games, they kind of have to lower the prices of new games, I guess, because people out there only have a certain number of dollars that they can spend on their hobby. And if they can't get a game for $20 less for buying it used, they're just going to buy less games. And that's just going to basically be a huge downturn of people going to game shops. That's less games that could be bought through impulse. I mean, there's repercussions. It's not just dollars changing hands that is the problem here. Anyway, without Jeff, let's get right into the quick hits before we end this episode. So bringing back the memories of the awesome Sonic & Knuckles lock-on cart. It was announced this week that Sonic 4 Episode 2 has a lock-on bonus of sorts. If you are an owner of Episode 1, and you pick up a copy of Episode 2 on the same system. So if you have it on the iOS platform, you buy another iOS version of Episode 2. If you have it on the 360, you buy a 360 version. It's going to unlock a special episode Metal, I believe it's called, bonus chapter that allows you to play as Sonic's nemesis, Metal Sonic. It's a cool bonus for those that have been patiently awaiting this so-called episodic game. When I think of an episodic game, I think of releases every month, not 8 months, 9 months between releases, but hey, whatever, that happens. It's fine. I'm just really happy that I'll be getting an episode medal bonus when I buy Sonic Episode 2. Heads up to all of the core fans out there, Sony's Downloadable magazine is finally coming to a close after 46 episodes, and they're monthly episodes. So, yeah, it's been out for a long time. As a special bonus of this month's installment, it will have a bundle of the 11 mini games that were hidden throughout all the different episodes of Core throughout the months, or years rather. It's been out for about 4 years. So if you have a PlayStation Plus sub, you can download for free still. I urge you to do that. Otherwise, you have to pay money for it, and you might have to think twice about that, depending on how much you want to see the final episode of Sony's Core. So check that one out. And last up, do you like game music and do you love Square Enix? I know there's a lot of you out there that like and love both. So Square Enix Audio is the website for you. The just launched online streaming radio station will bring you streaming game music 24/7 through the power of your web browser. So pretty simple. If you want to check it out, just head on over to music.square-enix.com/audio. Of course, there'll be a link in the show notes over at vgpodcast.com. Just load that up in your browser of choice. Make a couple selections in Japanese that you probably don't know what they say, and you can listen to all sorts of awesome audio from all the different Square Enix games. So check that one out. I love game music, and Square Enix makes some really awesome games. So it's like peanut butter and chocolate as far as I'm concerned. All right, so that's going to about do it for this episode of These Dudes on Games, or I guess right now, the last couple minutes are this dude on games, because Jeff has lost internet connectivity. He just texted me to let me know that, his router is blinking right now. So I don't think he'll be coming back for the end of this episode, but that's okay. We only have a few minutes left. We want to know what you guys think. What do you think of the show? Let us know. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. You can click contact us at the top of the page, and that's the easiest way to contact us, or you can send us an email directly if you want to do that. Our email address is vgpodcasts@gmail.com. And of course, you can head on over to your normal landline and pick it up and punch in 505 VG Podcasts. That will ring our voicemail line. You can leave us a voice message, and if you do, we'll play it in a future episode of the show. You just let us know what show you're listening to, and we'll play it on that show. We want to get into the user feedback that we had for a long time with DS Life and WeSpot and PSP podcasts, and even to iOS Pulse, Touch of Gaming. We had a lot of listener feedback, and that's something we really want to get going with some of the other shows. So please call, email, and text, whatever you want to do, and we'll hopefully get your words and voices into future episodes of this show. All right, so without Jeff to say bye, I'll say bye, and I'll say bye for Jeff as well. So thanks for tuning in for yet another episode of These Dudes on Games, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.